Call to the Honourable the Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question goes to the Prime Minister. Given the RBA's decision to keep rates on hold, millions of Australian mortgage holders will start wondering if interest rates are as low as they'll ever go under this government. The Treasurer's spending spree is at the heart of the problem. Government spending is running 4 times faster than the economy. Given that repeatedly the Treasurer refuses to take responsibility for this, Prime Minister, will you take responsibility?
Call to the Treasurer.
Clearly not.
Sit down, pal.
Treasurer, pause. Treasurer, pause. Order, Jim. Just resume your seat for a moment. No, we're not having this. The Leader of the House.
Mr Speaker, there's lots of things in standing orders that are described as disorderly. Continuing to interject when you're out of your seat, as the member was, is described as highly disorderly. And I just draw your attention to behaviour that he was warned about yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not particularly enamoured with people making a question, and you know the primacy of the question that I believe is important for every member to be heard in silence, to then have another go when you're sitting down. I don't think that's fair. And if we go down that path all the time, it's going to lead to a pretty bad question time. So I'm going to warn the member. That means you're now on a warning because of that behaviour. So, and just for everyone, we want to do things respectfully and follow the rules and follow the proper processes for everyone. So no more of that behaviour. I thank the Leader of the House for raising it, but I'm not particularly enamoured when people don't follow the rules. So we'll hear from the Treasurer.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm pleased that the member for Fairfax has taken a brief break from undermining his own leader to ask me a question about the budget and about yesterday's decision by the Reserve Bank to keep interest rates on hold. Partly because it gives me a welcome opportunity to point out an egregious lie that was being pushed around the gallery this morning on morning media by the Leader of the Opposition. And the Leader of the Opposition said, completely untruthfully, dishonestly, that the Reserve Bank yesterday called out the government's spending when it came to the decision that they took independently at the board level. That never happened, Mr Speaker. In fact, government spending wasn't mentioned by the Reserve Bank Governor yesterday. It wasn't mentioned in the board statement, and the only mention in the detailed forecasts which were released, which were downgrade their assumptions about government spending going forward, Mr Speaker. And so from time to time, reluctantly, it's on us to point out the egregious lies being told by those opposite about our economy. Now, if they were honest, Mr Speaker, they would say that the Reserve Bank Governor drew no link whatsoever between the government's budget position and the decision that they took yesterday, Mr Speaker. But the Governor has said on earlier occasions, has made this point about the government's budget. We have got relatively low debt compared to the other countries, relatively low debt to GDP ratios, our deficits as well. We've had a couple of surpluses, and the most recent deficit, in fact, is quite small as well. That's what the Reserve Bank Governor actually said about the government's fiscal position, Mr Speaker. And while we're on the topic, Mr Speaker, of being honest about the fiscal position, if the Shadow Treasurer was honest about the budget position, he would acknowledge and admit and confess that they ran 9 budget deficits and we have run 2 budget surpluses. He would point out that he had average real spending growth at 4.1%. We've got it at 1.7%. He would acknowledge that there were no savings in their final budget when inflation was absolutely galloping. We found $100 billion of savings because we see that as part of responsible economic management. If he was honest, he would point out that debt is $188 billion lower because of our efforts over recent years than it was under the trajectory that those opposite left us with. And our efforts to get the Liberal debt down means that Australians are saving tens of billions of dollars in debt interest. And so I welcome the question from the Shadow Treasurer. I hope he asks me a number of questions about this, because the contrast between our responsible economic management and the mess that they left us couldn't be clearer.